Welcome to our podcast, and I am wondering, we all know about the 5 love languages, but tell me about the 5 love styles.
Well, 5 love styles are related to how we have attached to our caregivers as children. And it's something very innate to how we interact with the world. And as we learn about them, we have more choices. But the 5 love styles are, according to Milan and Kay Yerkovich in the book How We Love, the pleaser, the avoider, the vacillator, the controller, and the victim. And learning about your love styles also helps you understand how you interact with the most significant people in your life.
I love that. So, the 5 types, maybe you can walk us through each one and maybe the core insecurity that goes along with each one. You want to start with the avoider? Where do you want to start?
We can start with the avoider.
Yeah.
The avoider has not experienced consistent attention as a child. They decide at a young age that they can't rely on anyone around them. Therefore, in their adult life, they tend not to engage. When they get stressed, they have learned to manage their feelings by withdrawing.
So, an avoider may have grown up in a home where their emotions and feelings weren't acknowledged and they had to carry them by themselves.
Yes. And they don't know how to trust anyone with them. So it's a learning process.
Yeah, so they've never had the experience of trusting someone with their emotions, with their hard times, and that's a growth experience for them.
A huge growth experience.
Yeah. How about the
Yes.
pleaser? What is the pleaser like?
The pleaser also hasn't gotten consistent attention, but they have chosen to garner attention by doing what everybody else wants. They please other people in order to feel safe. They are oftentimes the good kid. They do everything they can not to cause negative attention, but to try and garner positive attention. And that shows up in relationships where they don't get to be their real selves. They're always trying to make the other person happy.
So, similar to the avoider, they would be afraid of showing their true selves to someone else.
Yes.
And the pleaser, it sounds like, could come from a home where they learned that they would get their emotional needs met only if they were pleasing. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
How about the vacillator?
The vacillator is fascinating because they've gotten attention at times. And then at other times when they desperately wanted attention, they didn't get it. So they go back and forth between the two, between being very attached, very connected, to being angry and pushing you away. They come from a family where probably the parents were pretty self-absorbed and yet use their children to meet their own needs.
Oh.
And they vacillate, they go back and forth between the two, between being very intense and very much wanting connection to being much more avoidant and pushing the other people in their lives away.
Yeah. Yeah. So in relationship as adults, what is the vacillator trying to get?
We all long for connection. And the vacillator longs for deep connection. And they have hope for it because they've gotten it sometimes.
Sure.
Because they've gotten it, they have an intensity to seek it. They have an intensity and a passion that's beautiful. Although being married to one can be a challenge because they have such strong emotions sometimes.
So bringing everything to the table in order to gain that connection.
Yes.
But then sometimes that connection doesn't work. And is that where the anger comes from then?
Yes. When all they bring to the table is not matched, it hurts.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. And so the anger comes in there.
Yep.
Yeah. How about the controller? What is the controller?
Controller is often abusive because they've grown up in a home where they had no control. Very chaotic homes. And their only way to feel safe is if they're controlling everything.
Yeah, I could see that. The need, if you have no control growing up for so many years, that you would want to control your environment and only feel safe if you were completely in control.
Yes. And their control often becomes abusive because it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how about that other one, the victim?
The victim learned that to have needs or interact is dangerous. And so that would make them notice in the chaotic. The victim and controller are two different reactions to the very chaotic families they grew up in. Whereas the victim takes the abuse. They're the one that tends to be the brunt of the chaos.
Sure.
They take the brunt and they assume that role everywhere they go. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So it seems like they learned to be connected by taking the abuse.
Yes.
So they're only safe and connected if they are on the receiving end of that chaotic, whatever the chaos is in a relationship.
Very sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm assuming they seek out or end up in relationships often that are with a chaotic person.
Yes, a chaotic controller.
So
Because it's familiar. Yes.
yeah. You mentioned that, and we've been talking about how families of origin play a big role in shaping current love styles. I wonder if you can say a little bit more about that and what happens when somebody has a secure attachment as a child.
Let's start out with the secure attachment.
Yeah.
You're getting the attention that's age appropriate. Your emotions are validated and you're helped to manage your emotions. You learn how to express them appropriately in your family.
Yeah.
So therefore, you feel safe with yourself. And by feeling safe with yourself, you interact with people in a safe way, in a moderated way, because you've learned how to express your emotions in ways that don't cause other people to be dysregulated emotionally.
I'm hearing the difference between some of them and a securely attached person could be that the securely attached person hasn't learned that they need to earn connection.
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it. They received it and they expect it. And so they interact in ways that are more likely to elicit connection when they have a secure attachment.
And so, how about those growing up experiences where there isn't a secure attachment? We've talked a little bit about how that might look.
Different personalities sort of choose different ways of managing the connection. They've done twin studies, I think it's fraternal twins, and how they will interact differently because they have a different personality, even though they've grown up in the same family. Someone with a sunny, exuberant personality is more likely to become a pleaser in a home that they don't get what they need.
Yeah.
Whereas someone that has a more melancholy personality would become an avoider.
So, these ways of being, these love styles, really are what kept kids connected and helped them survive. They were necessary.
Right. And so there's no shame about knowing your love style. There's no shame to think about, oh, that's why I choose this way of interacting when I get stressed. And our love styles come out when we're stressed.
And so then we bring these love styles into relationships, into our marriages, and it affects our marriages.
Yes.
Yeah. And so maybe we look at the pleaser, somebody who's constantly sacrificing. How might that affect a marriage or an intimate relationship?
Some of it depends on who their partner is.
Sure.
And their love style.
Yeah.
But one of the things about a pleaser is they're always trying to make the other person happy. And that's an impossible task. To someone who is not a pleaser, it can feel very smothering. Like, you don't need to worry about me being happy. I'm okay. Just leave me alone. An avoider would feel like very kind of overwhelmed by that pleaser attention of always trying to make sure you're happy. And a vacillator would sense the insincerity and be like, you're not really being real with me. In trying to make everybody happy around you, it can be so smothering and so that you don't get to know the true person.
Yeah. And that's the insincerity that the vacillator might feel, that the person that's giving, the pleaser, is doing so in order to fulfill their own need, not just because they want to please somebody or make them happy. It's about their own needs.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. How about for the avoider? What does emotional intimacy feel like? Why is it uncomfortable?
Emotional intimacy is incredibly vulnerable. It can feel terrifying to trust someone else with what you're feeling. And to trust someone to be present for you, you kind of expect them to just fade away like you do. Avoiders definitely can fade and be physically present, but not emotionally, mentally present.
Yeah.
They have learned to retreat into themselves and they don't need anybody, which is also very sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Intimacy being unsafe would cause the avoider to then to feel that fear when it comes up in a marriage.
Yes.
And then that can create the retreat.
Right. When someone wants to be close, it feels dangerous to an avoider.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see the dance that happens with people married to others with different love styles. So the avoider backing off out of fear, thinking about how scary that would feel to a pleaser or a vacillator. They've been trying so hard to get their connection needs met, and then all of a sudden the person is gone. They've backed off.
Yes, they've disappeared. And yes, it makes the vacillator angry and the pleaser just try harder.
Mm-hmm. And the avoider, I'm sure, does not like that.
No, no.
Yeah.
And if you have two avoiders together, they go along lovely for years until there's a big issue.
Oh.
When one of them needs emotional support, when some crisis comes in one of their lives and they don't know how to connect deeply. And then they're totally lost.
Yeah. When they reach a place where they can't do it alone.
Yes, that place that they can't do alone.
So how about this vacillator that you said is fascinating?
They've had moments of security and they're longing for security again. They've had those good experiences that they keep trying to recreate.
Yeah, and I have heard that vacillators are trying to fill this hole that they have from their childhood where they weren't connected. And so they are in relationship trying to get this need met, but that there isn't a spouse in the world that can fulfill that can meet that longing. And so the vacillators are inevitably disappointed as they're married to a human being who isn't perfect and can't fulfill those deepest longings.
Yes. The fact that the vacillator knows what it's like and has then in a parent, they thought they were going to get it and the parent's completely absent, that creates that hole. And they know what's good. So it creates such a deep need for it. Yeah. They've had so many experiences of that disappointment. And very often the relationships start out so good because the vacillator's good at connecting.
Yeah.
And in a new relationship, you haven't had conflict. And they think, oh, this is great. I'm finally going to get what I've had tastes of.
Yeah.
And yes, the deep, deep disappointment that you're married to a pleaser or an avoider or a victim.
Yeah. So for a controller, what is a way that they can begin to create more safety for their partner? What do the beginning steps of their journey toward healing look like?
They would really need to understand their wounds, and that's pretty terrifying. It's much easier to be in control than acknowledge that you're vulnerable and have been deeply hurt.
Yeah. Which is why the love styles are so important and so good, because they give us language for what's going on with us internally and give us a starting point for where to see our own wounds.
Yes. It helps you having a name for it, as you say, giving language makes it more acceptable. But yes, we're all wounded, and here's a place to start.
Absolutely. And then to have the language as well for our spouse or significant other.
Yes.
To be able to see them in their hurt as well.
Yes.
So how can understanding these styles help us to communicate better or understand our spouses better?
By understanding your love style and finding out your partner's, you have a greater understanding when they do something that drives you crazy. It's like, oh, they're doing that because of this. They're not doing it because of me.
Yeah.
This isn't so personal and it's not my fault.
Which is a big difference.
And it creates compassion when we understand the other person's wounds and how they've learned to manage them.
So it begins to unravel that pattern that's formed over time. And we were talking about the example of the pattern of the avoider stepping back and then a pleaser or vacillator feeling that step back and being afraid of being disconnected. And we could see how that could become a spiral. And it sounds like this language and these love styles can help people to start to understand that cycle and even break it.
Yes, yes. And it's very interesting. In the How We Love workbook, the authors, Mylan K. Yurkovich, have exercises for every love style to work on so that you can work on your own love style separate from your partner, and you can do your own healing. You can take control. You can make choices. Not that those exercises are easy,
Yeah.
but they've worked out so many things that can understanding attachment in depth as they do, how to gently start becoming more secure.
So it sounds like a next step for listeners would be the How We Love materials, the book and the workbook. And there's a quiz online to discover your own love style and to begin to work on that.
Yes. And the How We Love website also has lots of videos demonstrating how.
Yeah.
We never got to talking about the comfort circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and introduce that a little bit.
This is a way to learn to listen to your partner much more deeply so that you can hear their wounds. And I love the name of it as the comfort circle because its purpose is to bring comfort to your partner.
Yeah.
There is a listener role and a speaking role. And the speaker is the one who has to be vulnerable. And the listener asks lots and lots of questions, deep questions. But as you hear your partner's feelings and what's behind those feelings as you go through the comfort circle, it opens your heart to the person that's speaking. And it makes you want to comfort your partner. It does take some work to not be reactive. But if you know your role is the listener, you're the one asking the questions and you're listening. There's power in that. There's freedom in that. I don't have to agree. I don't have to say what you're feeling is right or wrong. I am just listening. I'm just curious and exploring.
Yeah.
Because I want to know you better.
Yeah. And I can hear even in that language the way that this comfort circle begins to heal attachment wounds. And that secure attachment that each of these types didn't get, they're starting to get in their partner. And so then the marriage relationship becomes healing of old wounds, which is beautiful.
And Mylan would say God had that in mind when he created marriage.
Absolutely. Wonderful. This has been a discussion on the 5 love styles with Kate Brainerd Lee, who is a trauma therapist and specialist. And we thank you for joining us.